All right, we are live on Facebook. Yep, perfect. All right, go to speaker view. Perfect. All right, we're going to start off with some light things first here. So when everyone joins up, I'm going to share this link actually on the Facebook page. If anyone wants to share this link, feel free to go ahead and this live stream. Go ahead and do that. That'd be great. Share to a page. To a group. Beach residents. All right. Okay. We got some people online on Facebook. Got a couple more people showing up Facebook, and a couple people more showing up on Zoom here. But let's just get going to the heart of the agenda. I updated the email today if you got it. A little bit of delay getting that thing out. But let's see here. Let's see, Riviera Village. We'll start off with that. We've got some cool stuff going on. Last month, I talked about how they were doing some painting for the, what's that called? The bike parking. And I'm going to show some pictures here, what it ended up looking like. It ended up really, really cool on the ground. We gave $10,000 to the Riviera Business Improvement District. And we did that because the city staff does not have the time to be able to do all the work that we put out for them. They have 130 projects right now in queue. Here's the first image. So this is what the contractor did. The Riviera Business Improvement District took the money, found a contractor, came up with design, and this is what the bike parking looks like. Now it's a lot more visible. People can see it. They see that's there. It's a nice little beautification project. This is one of two. I believe the second one is, oops.
That's early.
This one right here.
Oh.
And actually, this is a better shot right here. Have a cool image of the sun. The bike racks are lined up with the stripes, and it's nice and bright. Nice little beautification. So it's really cool to work with our partners, the Business Improvement District in Riviera Village. It's a volunteer organization. They also run the Halloween Spooktacular and the Holiday Stroll. They're also the ones in charge of the lights right up here that you see. They actually paid for those lights, and they actually maintain the lights as well. They actually cost a pretty penny to fix those every single year. A lot of those bulbs, even though they're LED, a lot of those bulbs go out every single year. So in keeping with the Riviera Village, we've got a $4 million, we're seeking a $4 million grant from the Metro Board this month to permanentize the, where is the agenda? Permanentize the outdoor dining. And what does that mean? That means city staff is going to the Metro Board and looking for design, so that they pay for design, which means extending the sidewalks further out into the streets. And I'll pull up the agenda packet right now for you, and you can see the design that they actually are going for. That was, it was the first of the month. So I have it right. Actually, I have it right here. The first of the month that we went over this. Let's see here. Oops, wrong one. Bear with me here. We went over a lot on the first meeting. All right. N2 dining decks. COVID revised. Oh, I don't have it here. Design for template. I said they didn't include the design in the agenda. But anyways, all right, so it's going to remain two lanes. It will have extended sidewalks going further out, and it will allow all of the businesses that want on Catalina and surrounding streets to have outdoor dining if they want it. We're going to have extra bike parking. We're going to have extra open space, so people just want to show up and have their lunch on a park bench and some green space. And that design, roughly speaking, will cost $4 million, and the Metro will be paying for it. After Metro designs it, we're going to seek a separate grant from Metro to actually do the build out. All told, the total project length from September 1st, when we had a council meeting on this, to completion is expected to be about 5 years. And what does that mean? That means the current parklets that we see that are in place will need to be rebuilt, and the Riviera Village bid will pay for the rebuild of the parklets that are currently there and harden them so that they can last about 3 or 4 years from 5 years from now. So that way they won't be falling apart. And if you look at some of the parklets, some of them need that extra love, extra care. Let's see here. And let's see, what else is there? Let's on the agenda. Did they go? Coastal Commission will allow us to do this, and the design will include a minimal reduction in parking, and the reduction in parking will be made up for the extra bike parking spots that we'll be installing. We'll have other parking spots such as in the triangle that we'll be able to build new. So we're going to aim for no net loss of total parking in the entire Riviera Village area. The other aspect of outdoor dining are the temporary use permits. So if you notice on Rockefeller, on the side gate there, their little access way, including the back area. And then behind Friends of the Vine and if you've been to Hudson House, those areas are under temporary use permits, and that is a separate permitting program that we will need to deal with at a later date. Since that's separate, does not deal with the street aspect. Coastal Commission within the coastal zone will also will amend our parking ordinance to deal with that as well. But that's a separate program. Any questions on that? I'll go ahead and raise your hands or just open up your mic. Let me check on Facebook. If you have any questions, I don't think you guys do. You guys are pretty quiet today.
I sent something in the chat.
Yes, so in the parking lot of the triangle, you know that the entrance and exit way, let's see, the triangle, let me see if I can put up the maps here actually. Maps.google. Let me see if I can show this to you exactly where they plan on doing it. Let me share my screen. So you guys see the screen here. Let me go to the photos. So this triangle parking lot right here, right in here, this area in here, how you can enter and exit. What they plan on doing is, let's see, is cutting off the circulation here and here, as well as here. And we talked about this at council a few months ago, and then we'll be able to add parking spot here, parking spot there. So 2, and then put in here 2, here 2, here 2, and then probably about 3 or 4 parking spots here. So all told, it would be 2, 4, 6, 8, probably about 12 parking spots net new in this area. So you won't be able to drive in this way or out that way. It'll just be the whole length. You have to zoom around that way. There won't be any circulation going between the two. Avenida del Norte right here is going to be moved one way, this way as well here in the next little while. So if you notice, there's a new stop sign right here. That's in preparation for this going one way. There's a new stop sign here as well. What we're looking at to do is to build a pedestrian kind of an walk path that goes across right here to this parking lot. We all know everyone gets here to this parking lot and there's walks across the street. What we're hoping to do in here is get like a little, I don't want to say an island, but a raised walk path going across. So that way, if you cross here, you only need to look one way, which is to the east. And then the cars that come out of this parking lot will all be going one way towards the west. And that way, hopefully, it will alleviate some of the issues that we're having. Now, I didn't say issues that we're having. We're not having any direct issues. We're being proactive with the circulation down here in the village. So Hermosa Beach and Manhattan Beach, they're struggling with their outdoor dining concepts. At first, they weren't going to be doing outdoor dining, but now they will be doing their outdoor dining. And well, Hermosa will be doing outdoor dining. Manhattan, I'm not sure yet if they've really decided yet. Hermosa went back. At first they said no, and then now they're going to say yes, and then they said no, now they're going to say yes again. They're also going to be charging for it as well, like we are right now. In this last budget, we are now charging $2 a square foot for all of the outdoor dining that's happening, and that's year round. So we're getting roughly $250,000 of outdoor dining revenue from the village on this. So that money this last year that was collected, actually that was last year's budget, but we're going to continue on. And this year's budget, we moved that money towards pavers in the Riviera Village. So an extra $250,000 for pavers in the Riviera Village. And we're going to be doing probably Avenida del Norte, right where that new stop sign is, in Trader Joe's. So that's a lot of cool stuff that's happening in the Riviera Village. There's also been some enhanced for the parking or traffic enforcement, which has been a big deal. So if there aren't any questions on that, let me check on Facebook real quick. I don't think so. I don't think I see anything. And if there's not, I'm going to go right to the traffic update and enforcement. Oh, my audio was off. So if you said something earlier, I wasn't able to hear you. All right.
Hey, hi. Can you check chat for a question?
Yes, I just checked on there right now. Where will extra parking be in Triangle? Yes. Did I get to your question?
Yes. And the other question is, has the city ever considered, and I know it's expensive, but like a parking structure going up 1 or 2 levels like Hermosa did?
Yes. So Riviera Village, the ultimate goal for the Riviera Village in the Triangle parking lot area is to get the Triangle parking lot to be open space, and down below have 2 or 3 levels of outside dining. Or excuse me, it's outside the below ground parking, outside dining, excuse me. So you'll have 2 or 3 levels underground parking, and then on very top you'll have outdoor space, like park space. So kind of like a town triangle. So that way we get some of the restaurants and traffic off of Catalina and more towards the Triangle, and we can have you could have farmers markets easier, and rather than shutting down some of the parking on Sundays, we'll be able to have that as the meeting space. That answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
All right. So moving forward now to parking updates or traffic enforcement. A lot of updates in that department, actually. let me get some messages here. So on the Esplanade, I went over this once last month. I'm going to go over this again here because I've got some more updates for you. Let me see. Let me share the screen here. I had this provided as an document download. And what I wanted to talk about some more on this was our officers have been doing a lot more enforcement along the Esplanade, along Prospect, and along, let's see here, Mike, and in the village. So specifically, actually not really specifically anything other than just general traffic enforcement. So e-bikes, bikes, vehicles on the Esplanade not stopping or going too fast. Let's see here. So just this last weekend, the traffic unit wrote 10 citations on Broadway and 19 citations just was a weekend, about a week, let's say is the 18th. So let's see, 17, 16, a week ago. So last week, Saturday, they had 19 citations on the Esplanade. Got the motorized bike on Broadway, and then there's been heavy enforcement on Prospect as well. So Prospect's been a major issue with noise and speeding, and there's been heavy-handed enforcement. This right here, this document that you see in front of us are the amount of citations that have been given out in one weekend period on the Esplanade alone. So they did an enforcement action over 2-day period. They wrote out 145 citations. It is not broken down with e-bikes or regular bikes because there's no separate category for that. One of the questions that came up for this is whether or not all of these were actually prosecuted. And once these go to the court system, the city does not get an update back that says, hey, this person was prosecuted or not prosecuted. This person was guilty or not guilty. That's what our police chief and our city attorney have said, that we don't get an update when it comes to those individual details. Let's see here. When it comes to e-bikes, we've been doing a lot more enforcement on e-bikes. A lot of conversations been happening regarding Manhattan Beach, and they just passed an e-bike ordinance. We have a lot of those e-bike ordinance on the books already. So for them to be saying that they're creating new laws, well, they might not have had these laws in place. We have had a lot of those laws in place. We will be having a council meeting here on this in the next few months, I believe, again, as well. But we had that type of meeting, probably was it last year, I want to say, and in the fall, early winter of this year, maybe. But we've done a lot here, Redondo, and it comes really down to the school and parents for a lot of these e-bikes that are happening. I know they've gotten wildly popular. The school has done education efforts starting last fall, but obviously we can see what needs to happen. We need to have more of that. In the Riviera Village, they've also done some enforcement actions in the Riviera Village. They have done stop sign enforcement and loud muffler enforcement just right there on Catalina. So a lot of stuff has been happening in District 1, as well as Prospect, like I mentioned earlier. There have been a lot of, in the last 2 weeks, a lot of enforcement on speeding and noise for vehicles. So moving right along, if there's no questions there with that.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why are e-bikes allowed on sidewalks? It's like a motorcycle on a sidewalk. I've been mowed down. I haven't been mowed down, but almost mowed down twice.
So great question. So all bikes, including electric bikes, are not allowed on sidewalks in Redondo Beach. There's actually a city ordinance against it, but it needs to be posted on each individual sidewalk in that area. You can't just have this ordinance and then not post it. You have to post it. On the Esplanade, it is posted that there's no bike riding on the sidewalk, and there are citations given out for that. E-bikes, electric bikes, no different than regular bikes, aren't handled any differently. It's just kids and people on electric bikes or regular bikes on sidewalks, and they're not supposed to be doing that. It's against local law here in Redondo Beach. I think statewide it is allowed, so it is different than what is state law, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but that's from what I remember from the conversation with a police chief and our city attorney when we had this come up. It has to be posted on the sidewalk.
Okay, because we were actually driving a car, but there was kids on their e-bikes going fast, and there was a policeman. It was right at Alta Vista. I don't know the name of that street, but the stop sign at the school of Alta Vista on Nob Hill, and they were on the sidewalk, and there was a policeman there, and we leaned over and we said, I forget what we said, but is it legal for them to be on the sidewalk? And the little girl yelled back at me, like she was probably 14. It's okay for us to be on the sidewalk. And there's a policeman there, and I looked at him and he let them go. So I was surprised.
Yeah, I've heard that before a bunch of times about our police. There's people that have complained to me this last week. They saw some e-bikes, kids on e-bikes, essentially doing a California roll through stop signs, and some police were right there, and people were like, hey, are you going to do something about that? And the police kind of just put up their hands and said, there's so many of them. The answer is no, they're not supposed to be doing that. The answer is they're breaking the law. But like I said, when it comes to bikes, whether electric or regular, on sidewalks, it has to be posted on that sidewalk that there's no biking on the sidewalks. So unless you want signage on every single sidewalk, and they're directly from the city attorney. You'll notice in certain areas, like the Esplanade has signage that says no biking on the sidewalk. So they can cite there because that is signed. Or when I say signed, I mean there is actually signage there that says you can't do that. So when a police officer sees something like that, they should at minimum be stopping the kids and saying, hey, you can't be doing this, and should be telling them, give them warning, something. It's be good if you email me and let me know, and I can send that over, or just let the police chief know, because there's a lot of people eyes watching what's going on in the harbor. So I would email myself or the police chief on those particular incidences and let them know, because they need to be enforcing all of those laws. Also, it comes down to parental education, right? So we can have all the laws that in the world, we can make one more law, but if it's not enforced, or the parents don't get involved, then it's kind of useless. So we need to have parental education and enforcement. We got to have enforcement as a whole, and just education as a whole from the school district itself. So it's not going away. I think it's going to be a learning process. Yes, we have had accidents. Yes, we are doing things about it. But a lot of kids on a lot of electric bikes.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that parents aren't going to get involved because it's like they don't want to chauffeur their kids around anymore, and e-bikes are the answer. So I don't see them getting involved, but I just feel like they should be 16. They don't even know the rules of the road. So
right.
They should be like, at least 16 to 18, I think.
Yeah, there's different levels of electric bikes. They can't go more than 15 miles an hour, different classes, I should say. they should all have bicycle education classes, whether regardless if they're on e-bikes or not. They need to be understanding the basic rules of the road. To your point, I fully agree with you on that. And yeah, and parents not wanting to chauffeur kids around, you know, it's still no excuse, right? We can't expect our cops to be the parents all the time. So it's going to be, I think, school district, parents, and cops enforcing, or at least at very minimum, when I say enforcing, giving them warning tickets. I think maybe early that's more so the answer. There is no requirement for a training session like an e-bike. DMV site has rules, but I don't know if the rules are actual laws regarding e-bikes, other than if they're going more than 15 miles per hour. I believe they're less than 15 miles an hour, they're considered a regular bike. So it's different classes. Like I said, there's assist, and then there's the speeds. So how fast the bike can go. And I agree with you. Police, more important things to do. You know, that's why I don't vote for things like leaf blower laws, because I don't think leaf blowers are more important than enforcing e-bikes. I think e-bikes are far more important to deal with than things like than leaf blowers. All right, one more comment here. So there's a question. Okay. Let me check on Facebook. The Zoom link doesn't work for you, Laura. I will get that down to you. Laura, I will get that link to you as we get through. And yes, thanks for bringing it up, David. Robbery, theft, and are important. E-bikes get stolen at a very high rate. Bikes in general, but particularly e-bikes get stolen dramatically, a lot. So if you have an e-bike, make sure that you lock those things up, because people are stealing them left, right, and center. All right, next thing on the agenda. Let's see. Let's go over the harbor items here real quick. There's actually a lot happening in the harbor. I'm going to go over the simple things. So, what are simple things? Simple things are, we have BeachLife Festival this weekend. If you don't have your tickets yet, buy your tickets. I believe they're still like 10% off online. I think maybe you can get a couple different places. And it's going to be on Friday, on Saturday, and Sunday. And I'm not sure if it's not going to be as many people as BeachLife in May. BeachLife in May was packed. I believe they sold out 2 of the days. And I believe some people, maybe they were oversold on one of the days, maybe Saturday, or is it Sunday, one of the two. So I believe there's still tickets available for all 3 days for BeachLife this weekend. So speaking of the harbor and BeachLife and all those fantastic things happening in the harbor, this last, when was this? August. Let me share my screen here. This last August, I have some really cool news to show you guys. So on a third meeting in August, on the consent calendar, there were 3 items. H13. Let me change the new format. Right here, H13, which is the old On the Rocks location. H14, which is the Captain Kidd's location. And then H15 right here as well, which is the old Ruby's location. These are all 3 of these are leases that were signed now by both parties. So in the case of H number 14 right here, this is Captain Kidd's. And in this particular item, it's a new lease. And right now we are getting a minimum of $16,000. Before it was less than that. And there's a different percentage of rent in there. But the most important thing about H14 is that he's putting in, let's see, I have to check exactly, but he's putting in a significant amount of money. and to the property. So as part of it's a lease extension to be exact. It's an extra couple of years, I believe. Let me find it right now for you. And we're giving him those couple of years because he's been a great partner down there. We have our plan, what we want to do down there with where the sports fishing pier is going to go, where the boat launch ramp is going to go. This is a 10.5-year lease. And it's 5 years plus an ability to extend for an additional 5 years, which makes it 10 total years. So minimum rent is going from $8,000 to $16,000 per month. So that's minimum rent. And he's going to be putting in $850,000 of proposed interior and exterior upgrades. So that means Captain Kidd is going to be spending $850,000 to upgrade their facility there. We own the facility and the land, everything there. And we're going for a minimum monthly rent from $8,000 to $16,000. And then we do a percentage of gross sales. So we expect to get over $2 million over this 10.5-year period. And that's really big news. It's a great lease for us here in the harbor. And it is a great thing for them and the harbor in general as well. Now, H13 and H15, so the old On the Rocks location and the Ruby's locations have been sitting idle for a number of years. So the Ruby's location, Ruby's went out of business because their whole business plan has kind of fallen apart. And up and down the coast, they've gone belly up. And the old On the Rocks location has been vacant since 2014, I want to say. 2015, maybe earlier than that, earlier 2012, 2013. It's probably a dozen years, 10 years at minimum that it's been vacant. And it's going to be a company called California Local that will be leasing out both of these facilities. And the owners are going to be Jeff from Quality Seafood and Alan Sanford from the BeachLife Festival. So what does this mean? This means that they're going to be putting in a couple of $1 million into both of those facilities. And they're going to be upgrading both those facilities separately. The On the Rocks location will be turning into an event style location. So they'll be able to have events down in the harbor, music, little small musical events, meetings. So it's going to turning into essentially like a surf club. And when I say surf club, I'm more of an ocean club, more of a, you can leave your paddleboard there and you can leave your, let's see, you can leave your paddleboard there. You can leave your equipment there. So when you come back from your stand-up paddleboard or your just regular paddling, you have a place to put it. You'll have a shower there, and then you can order some food, and the food will be delivered to that location. You can hang out. There'll be a fire pit there. They've got a lot of cool plans, kind of a community gathering location, like a club. Invite your friends down. Now, how is this? Why am I bringing emphasis on this? And when I said order food, they'll have it set up so that the old Ruby's location will be a California cuisine type of food. And that food or that location will be open as a restaurant year round, including during BeachLife Festival. And they'll work in partnership, the two locations. And obviously when BeachLife Festival is there, then Alan Sanford, who is a part owner of this LLC called California Local, they'll be able to really utilize the BeachLife Festival, make it more integrated, that whole facility, the whole aspect, not the facility, that facility into the whole BeachLife Festival, as well as throughout the year, they'll be able to really utilize the two facilities together, along with Seaside Lagoon. They both sit just outside of Seaside Lagoon. So it'll be a really, really cool concept that Alan Sanford and Jeff Jones from quality seafood. Now, here's the cool and amazing part about the whole thing. Both of these are getting $13,000 per minimum rent, or 8% of gross sales. So that means we are getting $13,000 at minimum per location. And if their gross sales go above that 8% of their gross, so if it's, say, for instance, $20,000, then we'll be collecting $20,000 of rent from them. Both of these facilities have not been leased out for a number of years. And like I said, Ruby's has gone away years ago, and the On the Rocks location for at least 10 years or a dozen years. So this is big news for us in the harbor. It's money that we weren't necessarily planning on getting and coming in, because both these facilities have been vacant for a long time. We've had them both leased out to BeachLife or California locals for a small period of time. They sorted out what they need to sort out. They've been giving us some rent for that, but not much. And we were able to come into an agreement with them for these two locations and make their idea go. Get some life to it. So this is big news for the harbor. It's going to bringing people down year round to the harbor, 7 days a week to the harbor. Great restaurants, great little concepts, and this is basically it puts the harbor at around 90% of total leased out capacity. The only major facility we don't have currently leased out is the old what's it called? The facility next to the Seaside Lagoon and the Portofino there. Oh man, I'm thinking a tip of my tongue. It's been vacant since last September, so basically a year from now. Yeah, exactly a year ago they moved out. I know I'm going to think about it. The name of the place, Joe's Crab Shack. Thank you very much, Anna. Yes. Joe's Crab Shack, and that's what I'm looking for. And that facility is in huge disrepair. And what happened was they moved out literally one night, and they were on a month-to-month, and they came back and basically took a lot of the food service equipment out of that particular location, and they didn't even let us know. So they left, and then they came back and they took everything out, and then they said, "Oh, by the way, we're out of here." So in a way, it's kind of a good thing. Last month or a couple months ago, we saw a concept for a waterfront education center, so we can maybe perhaps start moving that along. That facility there, the Joe's Crab Shack facility, and then we have some open locations on top of Pier Plaza, and that's all just office space that's available to be leased out. But other than that, our harbor is at pre-COVID levels for income to the city, and we are at near record levels of leasable space. And the only reason I can't say we are at record levels of leasable space is because the old Fun Factory location, the 30,000 square feet in there, that's open right now, and they're doing construction work on the inside. And we actually had a discussion on that this last week regarding we built a skateboard park down there, and it's become wildly popular, the skateboard park. And what's so cool about the skateboard park is kids are loving it. It's bringing a whole large crowd, adding life down there to the harbor. And during the meeting last week, when we talked about it, it was only one agenda item last week. The officer said, we haven't had any problems with the patronage down there. There's been no issues with the public coming and using that particular location. And there's been no issues with the the hours really that have been happening. So the hours are 8 a.m. I believe to sunset. So as we know, that changes throughout the year, and we're looking actually to extend that from in the winter time for sunset, instead of sunset at 5 o'clock being like 6 or 7 o'clock. The reason being is it is well lit down there. And the other skateboard parks like in Hermosa Beach and Manhattan Beach, San Pedro, Torrance, they all have their skate parks open until 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and it's no problem that they have encountered down there. So we're looking to staff to come back with a recommendation for the proper amount of time. One of the recommendations I had was for us to put in a skateboard shop, small shop that does repair and sales of skateboard items. Let me see if I have the presentation here so we can follow along. Let me share my screen for this. So, view. There you go. So one of the cool things about the skateboard park is, or ability for us to do now is have a skateboard shop. So something that fixes skateboards, sells skateboard parks, skateboard equipment, safety equipment, and it's bringing a whole different type of life down to the harbor that we haven't had before in this particular area. This Octagon has been empty for years. There used to be a building here, and it was demolished. Oh man, I'd say probably about 10 years ago. It's been sitting empty and vacant. So by putting the skateboard park here, it is dual use. So you can still have your yoga, you can still have your concerts, you can still have your music venues, your movies, you can still have a whole host of items here at this particular location, in addition to a skateboard park that's being used. So we hired a security company to install, or to come by and make sure that kids aren't there after 9 o'clock or after sundown. It hasn't been a problem so far. So as you can see here, the number of incidences that we have here has been extremely minimal since its soft opening in April. There were many more calls for service before April when it wasn't open yet. We've had community engagement events. The police department has had community engagement events, and it's been a big success. In addition to this skateboard park, we've also had a skateboard park at Perry Park that opened up as well. So now we have 2 skateboard parks in Redondo Beach. And this sounds like, oh, what's the big deal, right? Well, it's been a long time since we were able to get all these skateboard parks up and running. We've been planning this for many years. Mayor Brand has started this project in 2014. And finally coming to fruition here in both in the harbor and up at Perry Park. I almost thought the South Bay Social District, which we required to have a skateboard park there, actually they said they would install one, would be the first one, but they're a little bit behind on getting financing and moving forward with that particular project, which is the largest private project here in the South Bay, $900-something million. So we're going to be adding some more signage in the harbor area for the skateboard park. We're going to be adding a couple of hours in the skateboard park so in the wintertime the kids can go down there a little bit longer. So anyone have any questions on that? So I want to see 2 local property. Ellie, I think you had a question here on getting rent from the 2 local properties. We are getting property rent from those 2 properties, the old Ruby's location, old On the Rocks location, on September 1st, and the new lease on Captain Kidd. So all 3 of those locations we were getting rent from starting September 1st, and record rent, I might add, from all 3 of those areas. We don't think we ever collected that much rent for the On the Rocks location. Skateboard park, thank you. At the old Fun Factory, it's sitting empty right now. The Fun Factory is being used as a storage area. There's a lot of equipment being stored in there. There are doing some seismic retrofit and some fixing up of the parking garage that is sitting in. And just so everyone knows, there's actually 2 parking garages. There's down there. Everyone thinks it's one. So right where Quality Seafood is at, and that parking garage on that side on Pier Plaza, that's one parking garage that was built in the 60s. And then in the late 50s, early 60s, the first parking structure was built which is where Fun Factory is at, and the fish market that was there, and right where the lines up with the skateboard park. So that's the first parking garage that was built, and then the second one is where Quality Seafood is at. David, I will get to the homeless question at the end of the meeting here. Let's see. Let me go on Facebook to see if there are any more questions on Facebook. Don't see any there. Okay. So let's see. Anything else in the harbor? BeachLife, Skateboard Park, the old Octagon, harbor leases, we're at pre-pandemic levels. And harbor dredging. So we signed a contract in August to do long-awaited harbor dredging, I might add. So H12, let me sign up here to see. So it is Manson Construction that's going to be doing the work for 2.9 million. It is fully our responsibility in Redondo Beach to do this, even though it is in the Tidelands area. We won't be getting money from the state. It's going to be funded from the Tidelands. We have money been put aside. So 2.9 million is a total bid, and total construction cost will be $3.5 million. That includes extra planning work and any other work that we need to come up with. We will not be able to marry this project up. A lot of conversation that has been had with marrying this project up with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, because they need to do some work on the break wall, but we won't be getting to having them do it at the same time. It's not a federal break wall. It's not under the federal jurisdiction. We need to apply in Redondo Beach to get our harbor as a federally navigatable harbor. And when we do that for commercial purposes, when we do that, we will be open up to the federal funding. They started that process, I believe, in the 80s, but they never finished it. So we need to start that process amongst all the other things we need to get going. The dredging equipment or dredging sand will be going off of Avenue B, off the coastline of Avenue B. And I'm bringing that up because a lot of questions have been made regarding, or asked, I should say. I saw a bunch of different locations. I've been told it's on Facebook. I've been pinged on this via email, messages, and people have asked me in person regarding the beach erosion at Ruby Street. And I will pull up those photos right now for you. So this... share screen photos. So this is the Ruby Street outfall. This is at on the bike path right between Topaz and Sapphire Street. So Ruby, this is an outfall. You can see here by the paint right here that the sand was up to here for many years. This last winter with the winter storms, we had a couple of large ones in January, the wind event with the storms and surf. What happens is in the winter time, the sand or the wind comes through and drives ocean currents. And when you get that with tidal action and large surf, it cuts away the beach at significant amounts. This sand was all put here about 10 years ago in 2012, roughly. And what ended up happening, that sand came from below the Bayona Creek. They dredged the Marina del Rey harbor entrance, and Bayona Creek entrance right there where the entrance of Marina Del Rey is at. And they took all that sand and they did two things with it. They pumped it on shore here. And I believe at the time when they pumped about 10 years ago, it brought the sand up to about that level of this particular outfall. The rest of the sand that they didn't dump here, they dumped offshore at Avenue B, off of Avenue B and PCH. So about a half mile, about a mile out, there's a big boatload of sand that's dropped there. We're going to be dumping our sand from the harbor there as well. And beaches and harbors will be doing a sand replenishment. And I will show you actually there. Let's see here. Do they have? Oh, yeah, here it is. Perfect. So this is their replenishment project. They have it all mapped out as to when they need to start adding more sand. They've applied for a large federal grant to start moving sand back to this beach area. What happens in this sand in this particular area is there's a canyon right here that comes in right here like that. Roughly a little bit less, actually, probably more like cross like that, out like that. And it's literally a 45-degree angle. If you've ever dove there, it comes down at 45, 30 something degree angle. And what happens is sand from here gets pushed in the wintertime out towards this cliff canyon. And it falls in the canyon where then the sand does not come back out of the canyon onto the beach. So this all has to be replenished up here along the coastline up here in this area. And the Redondo Canyon is deep. It goes about a mile deep. It's well known. It's a big canyon. It's very deep, very long. It goes many, many, many miles out. And it cuts off, like I said, right here at Topaz. So this sand in this area, let me change the colors here. This sand along the avenues in this area ends up getting cut out in the wintertime, but coming back in the summertime. And let me show you, let's see here, what the Avenue E storm drain looked like. Let me show this picture. This is the Avenue E storm drain this last winter, actually last winter, April of last year. This year it was very similar. I didn't bring any photos, get any photos of it this year, but it looked very, very similar to this. So you can see the entire outfall. You can see how far back, how far under this outfall was cut. That's a good foot underneath. You can easily crawl underneath this outfall. You can see how far back the beach erosion, the sand was cut. You can see that it has, the sand is completely taken out of that entire outfall. Not just that outfall, but also the Avenue I outfall. Most of you have seen, this is the Avenue H ramp right up here that gets taken down. This is the Esplanade obviously on top. And so right up front of the Esplanade here, there's this storm drain right here. Most people have never seen the storm drain. All you see is this sign right here that popping out of the ground. It's all you see. So So this is what it looks like. What happens, Beaches and Harbors comes through and cuts out, takes the sand out in front of this storm drain so it can drain to the ocean. That's how much sand gets cut out in the wintertime. All this sand is gone during a storm. Now I'm showing this to you because I just went down there and took some photos today. And this is the Avenue E storm drain today. You can see how much of the sand has been built up. It's all covered up all the way back here. And this is actually a little bit cut back. We had some beach erosion this last weekend, the last 2 weeks with the storm and the wind that we've had. It was much higher actually. And you can see how much of the sand gets moved every single year on a year-over-year basis. So all of this was cut out in the springtime and wintertime, all the way to back here, all this sand. So all the way back here, the berm was probably coming up to right around there. And then this whole area, all the sand in here was all cut out and gone. And you can see underneath. So you can tell all this sand right here was gone. Well, what does that mean? That means all the sand moves and it comes back. Same like the Avenue I. This is the Avenue I storm drain. Beach and Harbors just recently took out this sand right here. Normally it's completely empty or it's completely filled up, but the sand gets moved in and pushed in by the beach every single year. And that does not happen. You can see this sign right here. It's just, you know, lots of beach has been built up since this last spring. That does not happen to this area in Ruby. And the reason why is because all the sand falls into the Redondo Beach Canyon. And when it falls in the canyon, it has no way to come back out of the canyon. And what ends up happening is we have to replenish the sand manually with the dredging. And what they plan on doing is taking from their sand reserve off of Avenue B, pumping it out, putting it onto either pumping it out and pumping it directly to the beach here, or pumping it out onto a barge and then having the barge deliver the sand to the beach here. This is owned by LA County. It's operated by LA County. It is not owned by the city of Redondo Beach. It's within the jurisdiction of Redondo Beach, but the LA County Beaches and Harbors operates the beaches here, cleans and maintains the beaches. And they have a long-term plan. They've applied for federal grants on getting this replenished, but they have not gotten an answer back yet. So if there's no questions in the chat, I'm going to go on to another beach item that's very much related to this. Let me go ahead and check. See anything there? So the next item here is I don't know, you might not have heard, but you might have heard there was an incident this last few weeks ago on a Wednesday, I believe it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right in there. There was a bunch of water came out of the Avenue E storm drain. So right here is the storm drain that I was just showing. Right here is a storm drain I was just showing on the picture. The Avenue I storm drain is, that's going to be over here, down here, off the screen. You can see all this sediment and the sand here. All this water came gushing out about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And what ended up happening was, let's see if I have the next photo here. Here you can see, here's a better view. So here's the Avenue E storm drain, and here's the Avenue I storm drain. And all this water, all this sandy, flushy area that you see here all came out at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And the reason why it came out of the storm drain is LA County Department of Sanitation District. There is a sump pump. I will show you the sump pump right now. Over on Doris Way, I think it is. Let me, oops. Let's see here. Over by Toledo. So this is over by Toledo School and Messina in South Gertruda. You see by Doris Way down here. But there's a sump pump right in here in this area. There's a big, holds 5 million gallons. So this was turned on and all the water got flushed out, and you can see it comes up here, Avenue G, and then it ends up at the Avenue E storm drain that outfalls to the beach. So a lot of us thought, well, maybe it was the 2 water main breaks that happened up here on Camino Real and Prospect. So our public works team sent in the cameras into the storm drain system right here along Prospect, and they found remnants of sand and discoloration of the dirt along the storm drain action, but they did not find any more sediment past this point here. So they scanned it with their little robot tool, and they didn't find any sediment, which means the water that came off of this water main break up here came into this sump pump down here, but it wasn't enough to fill up the sump pump and get the sump pump going to flush it. So we had the large storm on a Sunday. The tropical storm came in August on Sunday. And then about a week or so later, we had this drainage action from the ocean, from the sump pump going off into the Ocean Avenue E. And, or actually, excuse me, take it back. Let me one step. We had the tropical storm on Sunday. About a week later, we had the 2 water main breaks up here on Camino Real and Prospect. And about 3 or 4 days later, maybe a week later or so, this storm drain kicked off pump and pushed a bunch of water out. What seems like to have has happened is the beaches, the LA County Flood Control District, which operates the storm drains, they manually turned on the pumps that were in there and flushed the system, got rid of all the water that was in there because they were doing some maintenance. So the water that came out of there was all fresh water. It was not any other type of water. It was just regular old storm drain water. It flows off the streets. And water came from, some of it came from both the storm, the water main breaks. The sediment did not come, that was in there, did not come from this storm drain system here. This particular, the location that in question from the sump pump there on Messina and Doris Way, that brings in a bunch of water from Torrance as well, and other parts of the avenues, but large portions of it come from Torrance. It's a county flood control storm drain system. So that's good to know. Let's see, let me check the chat. Questions on sand. Is there going to be ready for 4th of July? Probably not. These things that involve the federal government and the county and dredging operations, you have to get a county permit, federal permit, state permit. That will take a long time to get the dredging and move the sand to the beach. They are moving through the process to get the dredging going, but it's probably, I can almost guarantee you it won't be ready for 4th of July. That is a quick turnaround for all the government agencies you got to go through, including the Coastal Commission. So if there's any other questions on the storm drain that happened or the sand, let me know, throw it in chat, or go ahead and open up your microphone. Oh, I hear an owl outside. All right. So I don't see any questions from anyone. Moving along. Let's see here. Revised communications plan. So one of the things that we had on our agenda this last week was a revised communications plan. What does that mean? That means let's see here. Let me get the agenda item up and see if I have the presentation, executive summary. I don't think I have the presentation. So I will share the screen. You can see some of the items that was in the agenda packet. So communications plan. What is a revised communications and customer service plan? Basically is getting all of our employees to go through the same training and to have the same answers across the board. So that way, if you ask city staff on the phone a question, if you ask them via email, you come up to the counter, the desk at City Hall, or you see Public Works out in the street or police or fire out in the street, you're going to get the same answer. And it's basically customer service training as well as communications. So what are we communicating about problems? Who do you go to? How to take care of issues in the city? Internal communications as well. So if a media request comes in, if a request comes in over whether it's disaster or just press information, wanting to know more information, where does that information question get routed to for the best answer? Whether it's the mayor, who is the only one able to speak on behalf of the city of Redondo Beach, or gets referred out to a certain the department head, such as police or fire or public works, or the city manager answers the question. So one of the things that we have here are internal tools like the employee intranet site, and that gets everyone on the same page. We have a tool called Comcate, and that processes annually 2,300 requests. Comcate is Access Redondo. So if you have a question or you have something needs to get done, for instance, a tree limb is broken, or you see prom fronds down, or you see trash out on the street, or you want to do a public records request, it goes through an app. We call it Access Redondo. You can download the app on the web on your Play Store or your Apple App Store. Look up Access Redondo. You can download it, you can install it to your phone, and when you make a request for a piece of trash that needs to be picked up, or a pothole needs to get picked up or fixed, a sidewalk needs to get fixed, you can take a photo of it. It'll take your GPS location and it'll go right to the right department. This also works for public records requests as well. Social media. So a lot of the tools that we use to communicate to the public with, and who in a certain department is responsible for dealing with social media. So all departments have communicate to the public in many various ways. I believe the police department has their own social media account, but there's going to need to be, moving forward, somebody who's in charge of each department's social media. So right now we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we have our own website. All these things got to be tied together. It's got to be done cohesively, and it's got to be done in a way where the message is going to be the same. So signage is important. We talked about, you've seen a lot of emails coming through regarding redesign of our logo in Redondo Beach. And there's also an idea, we're also working on a new website in Redondo, which should be launching here in the next month or so, and getting all these things kind of cohesively put together at the same time. So that way there's not stale information on the website, that the information is correct, that we have new information, new news, new posts coming up. And when you look at our social media, it is up to date, and it is pertinent to what you're looking at, not so that you've had it in the past where you look at a department's page and it has been updated in 3 or 4 years. City of Redondo just got their Facebook page up and running here last few months ago, including an Instagram page. And it's been a long time coming since we've got one of those pages to communicate to the public. So there's been a lot of questions. Thank you, David, for the signs on the new street signs, and we'll get to the logo in a second. I don't know how many years ago, it's way before my time, there was a movement to change our street signs to be changing from the green signs to the blue signs. And they hadn't really started moving those out, but now they've started moving those out, pushing those out on to Artesia Boulevard, because all the signs there were redone. Any new street that was done for repaving or street upgrades, the signs are being redone into a blue design. This is all new, although it's all old. The design was approved many years ago, like I said, before my time. So I think it was 2014 or 15, I believe all these design changes were made. between 2000, the time when these design changes were made, and today, Manhattan Beach changed their signs to be blue. So that's why you'll see Manhattan Beach, Redondo have the same kind of blue signs. Manhattan Beach is also struggling with and perhaps changing those their street signs as well. I talked to a council member over there, and they were discussing their signage over there as well. Now we're updating our logo for a multitude of reasons. It's been since 2000 that 2002 that the logo that we're currently using it has been in play. Something that's 20 years old needs a little bit of a refresh. Also, we don't own the copyright for that logo. It was never copywritten. It was started being used by the Chamber of Commerce in Redondo Beach. And then they actually ended up adding some things and using that as part of their logo. And they ended up copywriting that logo. It was the More to See logo with you had the City Redondo logo on one side, and you had the More to See, some other stuff down below. The term More to See is all trademarked by the Chamber of Commerce. So the Redondo Beach doesn't actually own its own logo. So by doing this logo redesign, we have the ability to actually copyright the logo and to build it out and build out properly to what update it and properly well, I should say properly update the design as per in community input. We took I'm looking for the logo right now. So this is the proposed logo. You see this here. That's the proposed logo. And it hasn't gotten very many great responses from people. There was a survey done, and the survey, some bot, or it went from 200 inputs, survey results, to about 1,500, 2,000 survey results. So obviously something was happening within a day's time. So unless it was extremely popular, literally overnight, something happened where somebody was putting in fake results. So they relaunched the survey results, and we should be getting the update here on the first council meeting in October. So I looked at this, and just out of curiosity, I wonder what anyone thinks regarding this logo here. If you like this idea, I changed it. I just added the circle around it to kind of tie it together. So there's no reason why we can't make amendments to the logo. That's my thought process. And we will be using this new logo on our website. And a lot of the comments that I've been seeing are, it's too plain, it's too simple, and the colors don't go well with each other. So let us know. It's going to be in the first meeting in August what you think. There was a local designer who made the logo, but she didn't make it on her own. There was a group of let's see, local community residents, business owners and community residents who had businesses in the community here, or regular residents who had design thoughts and ideas, worked in the design industry, media training. And they as a group have went through this process to find this logo. So let us know what you think. Let me know in the chat here as well. The font is not stylish. I agree with a lot of these comments that you guys are saying, that the font's not very stylish. I don't like it's too plain, the font. I think BeachLife did a really good job with the R and B, or actually the B and L, where the L is inside the L is inside the B, if you look at their logo. And I think I think there's nothing that ties this logo together. It can be better. It can be, you can do some things in here, you know, there's Remote Beach did a good job with their logo. They had a lot more character inside of it. I like the sail that's inside there, but it's a little bit too simple for me. I think we can add some more character to the logo. So if anyone has any comments they want to jump onto and say anything, I see here's one hand raised by Dr. Wayne Craig. You are muted right now.
Let me unmute. Thank you. Yeah, I agree. I think it's more simple than it needs to be. I understand logos can't be, you know, photorealism and things like that. Obviously, they have got to be somewhat simple so that you could print them and blow them up, shrink them. Yeah, I just think it's too plain. It kind of looks like you're looking at a glory hole, looking at the at a sailboat sailing in the horizon. It's not really that. You know, I don't know. That doesn't look that great. We're looking at a porthole. It's okay. But I think more work can be done. I like your color change idea. I think that's in the right direction. And I'll set a few things over that I think might be helpful to work with.
Okay. Yeah. First meeting in October, we'll be having our meeting. It should be coming to the council agenda. So let us know your thoughts. Come on down. Is there anyone else that wants to speak on it? Fad flip-flops, musical sales. Anyone can add an idea to the logo. I like the idea of red, white, and blue. Everything's red, white, and blue. We're more than just Redondo, more than just red, white, and blue. It adds some more, it needs some more color. So I agree with that. All right. Any more comments? Anyone want to say anything? Let me check my chat here. All right. I don't see any more other than the comments that are in here. Thank you for that. Some kind of archway. I agree with you. Sailboat is good. Needs a waves and a dolphin. Yeah, those are all good. We are Redondo Beach. I know I've heard a lot of people talking about all parts of Redondo. We're all parts. You know, we move here for the beach and the ocean. We didn't move the west side, right? So need some waves and yeah. I looked at a bunch of other cities. So I looked at Huntington Beach, Hermosa, San Clemente, Dana Point. A lot of these cities have really cool logos. And I think we can do a little bit more. I like the modernistic idea, but I think it's just too plain, too simple. So going down my agenda. Let's see here. Sunday, October 29th in the Seaside Lagoon, Oingo Boingo, a Halloween concert. Oingo Boingo, it will be coming down and doing a big party. Mike Ward from Village Runners set up an event, I believe in association with the Chamber of Commerce, and they will be talking or having a big show down there. I believe they're looking to get Richard Blade down there from good old K-Rock from way back when. And they're going to have a big party down there at Seaside Lagoon. Big concert. So if you saw Oingo Boingo at the Seaside Avenue I for 4th of July, this is going to be even bigger. It's going to be even better. And it's going to be even more fun because it's going to be at the Seaside Lagoon and it's going to be right before Halloween. So it'll be a dead man's party, as the Oingo Boingo says. And it should be a lot of fun. A lot of events happening in Seaside Lagoon. You got the Smack Fest, which is a volleyball tournament happening in Seaside Lagoon. A lot of cool stuff happening there. The business, what's it called? On PCH, Raging Cajun. They will be having their Rocktoberfest as well in the Seaside Lagoon. They bring down a bunch of cover bands. And it's a big cool event down there in the harbor and in the Seaside Lagoon. 2-day event, I believe, Friday and Saturday. So a lot of cool things happening in the fall in Seaside Lagoon and the harbor. So make sure you stay tuned if you're into any of those kinds of things. Make sure you you buy some tickets. I think it's going to probably end up selling out, especially the Oingo Boingo for the meeting for the Seaside Lagoon, October 29th, right before Halloween. Let's see here. Next up on the agenda, I've got council hour changes. So we've got, like to know from you guys, let me know in your comments. Do you believe it is better and we'll get more participation? Is there hold on real quick. Does the city have a Seaside Lagoon calendar of events? I don't believe we have a calendar event for the Seaside Lagoon, but there is a calendar events on the website, City Redondo website. I know there is one. Let me see if there's a community one for that. I believe there is. Let's see here. If you go to the front page, you can see city events on the very front page, and there it is. Farmers market only has farmers market, and let's see here. It doesn't have the other one, so we'll be sure to get that on there. By the way, I'm just looking at it now. Free compost giveaway on October 7th, Saturday, October 7th. So come on down for that. It always sells out as well. So going back to the council meetings. So right now, a majority passed 3-2 to change our council hours from 6 p.m. start to 5 p.m. start. The thought was by the motion maker, I believe it's Scott Barrett, Council District 5, that he wants to get more public participation. To which I responded with, how do you get more participation when you start at 5 p.m. and people are still busy dropping off their kids from school to sporting events? You're getting home from work. Most people work till 5 o'clock. So that way, it doesn't allow you time to get down to the council meetings. A lot of things happen in the first hour of council meetings. For instance, consent calendar items. For instance, people being able to get down there and talk on non-agenda items. And so I'm not a big fan of this, moving council items from 6 p.m. to 5 p.m. I think it's going to hurt our ability to have more community involvement. The thought process was, if we move it from 5 p.m., we'll end an hour earlier at night. The problem is, on the second council meeting, and you've already seen this, second council meeting, you end up having primarily closed session agenda items. And so we have a lot on the closed session, and we need more time on the closed session. But the problem is, when you start doing that, you have increased the amount of closed session time by 80%, and you've decreased the amount of open session time about 15%. And I had a little Excel worksheet that I made out and showed that. So what ends up happening is you have less time for the public to show up and talk about public items that we talk about publicly, and more time, 80% more time for closed session, which is our lawsuits, which is our lease negotiations, which are employee negotiations for pay and benefits. And so that doesn't do the public any good. And my suggestion has always been, the months that we have 5 meetings, we should have 4 council meetings. That would allow more time for closed session and open session, and an extra council meeting. Now, we're supposed to be a part-time council here in Redondo. We have 3 meetings a month. We have more meetings than El Segundo, Hermosa, or Manhattan. El Segundo has 2 meetings, and they usually a lot of times they cancel 1 meeting, so they only having 1 council meeting that month. Hermosa Beach doesn't start their open session until 7 p.m. We start ours at 6 p.m. And Manhattan Beach does the first and third Tuesdays of the month. So we meet a lot in Redondo. We have 25 items on our consent calendar. We're busy because we're doing a lot of things. We're asking a lot from staff, and staff is getting things done. We've had my first 5 years, I'll say, on the council, we had between 12 and 15 items on the consent calendar. At most 15 usually, but usually around a dozen items on the consent calendar. Consent calendar are items that we've either already discussed or contracts that have been signed or agreed to by staff, and they're minor contracts. They're projects that are project extensions. And a lot of times you won't even see us pull any of the items or talk about items. They just get approved. For instance, this council meeting on Tuesday, we have 25 items on the consent calendar. We're averaging 17 to 20 items per council meeting on the consent calendar. That's a lot of items. We're getting a lot done in this city. So anyone that says nothing's happening in this city, just look at our council agenda. We're getting back late from closed session. We have 20 items on average, 17 to 20 items easily on average for the consent calendar. And we have 5-6 discussion items on our open session. So for me, the only thing that makes sense is to add an extra meeting for the months that we have 5 Tuesdays in the month. I don't go for the idea that we should be meeting 4 Tuesdays every Tuesday of the month. And the reason, if there's 4 meetings, so if there's only 4 Tuesdays of the month, that we meet all 4. And the reason why is we spend a lot of time answering emails, on the phone, taking meetings, doing events. There was the Edo event today I went to for half an hour. Councilmember Kalajetovich from District 3 was there. It's a lot of time that we spend on the council. So a lot of extra time. Of course, I have my community meetings in person now, this online one, because I get great attendance on both, and it's entirely different group of people. So I've continued doing that during outside of the COVID time here. So I'd like to know what you guys think, if you want it past 5 o'clock, or if you want to stay at start at 5 o'clock or start at 6 o'clock. I've heard a lot of comments about staff taking a long time in their answering of questions and some of their presentations, and it's one way we can start cutting things down. We have 3 minutes for the public to speak on items. I don't think we should be cutting that down. The public has a right to speak on council agenda items, and I don't think I want to go down. You're only going to be saving a few minutes of time. Coastal Commission allows 1 minute for you to speak on an item, but they also allow you to pool items. So if 3 people turn in a card to speak, 2 of them can pool their time and give that to a certain speaker. So that per speaker has 3 minutes. I don't think we should be going down that path. I like 3 minutes. It gives a good amount of time for somebody to speak, but not too much time. And let's see here. Let me go through the comments. And stop the PowerPoint karaoke. Yes. 6 p.m. please. Yep. 6 p.m. Thank you. Staff presentation, less volume. Yes, I agree. Summarize and go more concise. Yes, I think our staff presentations need to be done better. They need to be done with less words and more pictures, so that they're not not just reading off the PowerPoint or taking along to explain every bullet point. Presentations should be, in my opinion, presentations should be done with PowerPoint, should be done with pictures and graphs and images, things that you can't relay via word. So let's see here. Limiting council members to 3 minutes. So Christy, yeah, Councilmember Lowenstein came up with an idea of eliminating it to 5 minutes, but that would require changing our rules. Also, you can't really do that to elected officials to minimize their amount of time they get elected to speak. The problem with 3 minutes as well is a lot of times I'll just simply ask staff a question or multiple questions, like 5, 6 questions, trying to get answers to something, and staff comes back with longer answers. And I'm driving towards trying to get some information out. A lot of times I'm asking a question I already know the answer to, but I want staff to present the information because I know the community wants to know. And a lot of times members of the public have asked me questions that I don't know the answer to, or I'm not sure, or I do know, and I just want other members of the public to be able to hear that question and answer from staff. So when it comes to metrics to justify a 5 p.m. start time, Grandstanding for the audience. Yeah, I agree with you. Grandstanding the audience. Someone's got to make their point. Hey, listen, I'll say it myself. I think every single council member has gone through it before where they've had the grandstand for one reason or another. It's the reason why it's called a bully pulpit. I myself has done the same. Everyone's done the same up on the council. There's no one, mayor, council, or even staff have grandstanded. Now, it's about limiting that and being cognizant of the amount of time that you're taking. I agree with you. That needs to be checked. I know I've limited myself, but I do also sometimes have a lot of questions. And I don't like doing deals behind in the back with staff or, other the council members saying, listen, this is what we're going to do is we're going to drive forward. A lot of this should be done in the public. So when it comes to the question of metrics and how did it get chosen? Well, Councilmember Barrett, District 5 just came up with the idea. I want to start at 5 p.m. And one of the questions was, he had Councilmember Barrett from District 5 was commission members. When we had a commission, can you start earlier? Now, commissions start at 6 o'clock and 6:30, different times. It depends on the commission. I think we need to be really careful about changing that because a lot of commissioners are coming from other jobs. So when you start that, this is a purely volunteer. They're there once a month for a few hours. We need to make it more beneficial or easier for them to show up. Now, the earlier you start in the day, the harder it will be, or if not impossible for us to get volunteers on those days, unless you're retired or don't have a job, which is not the same, I might add. So there are cities like Inglewood that have their council meetings at 2 p.m. on a Monday. Now, because you're saying he used, yes, he didn't use any metrics. Yes, Laura, that is correct. City of Inglewood has their council meeting start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Sometimes they last 45 minutes, an hour. Sometimes they last 2-3 hours. I've seen their meetings. I know people who gone to their meetings a lot. And the reason why they choose 2 o'clock in the afternoon is because they don't get as many people showing up. They have a large city and their council members are paid full time. They make a large salary in those positions. So they don't have to have another job. All of us council members, I know I have another job. Councilmember Lowenstein has another job. Barrett has another job. Councilmember Baji has another job. Kelly Jedovich, I believe she has another job, I think. So we all have jobs to pay for life, and being a council member does not pay. So it's essentially a volunteer job position, including the mayor. Mayor is retired, actually. He just retired during his end of his first term, I believe, I think. Primarily due to the fact that he's been sick. So reading through the comments online, let's see here. Yep, 6:30 or 7, fourth meeting. Yeah, everyone kind of says the same thing. 4 meetings, fourth meeting we get. There's 5 meetings, 5 Tuesdays a month. And it's true. Alsagon and Manhattan Beach, for most beach, are way smaller than us. So apples and oranges. So comparing the two, the later the better. Here's a question: how many hours do I commit each month on average to council position? Oh boy, I don't even know if I want to answer that. I'll say this: in District 1, you guys ask a lot of questions. You send in a lot of emails. I get, on average, every single day, 2 to 3 contacts on average per day. Meaning people call me, text me, or email me about issues in the city, particularly District 1. And right now I'm getting a flood of emails regarding the Metro Green Line. And that's on average for me for 2 to 3 per day. I'd say other council districts get 2 or 3 contacts a week, not per day. So you can see the difference in volume between myself and other council districts. District 1, you guys know how to use your telephone and email and are more than willing to use it. And it's great because I get told, hey, this is what's going on. It needs to be fixed. And we move from there. So some weeks I'll tell you, council day, I'll just drive you my regular council days. On Tuesdays, I pretty much have the whole day on Tuesday open for council items. So from the time I wake up in the morning to time I go to bed, I'm pretty much doing council items all day. Like the third Tuesday tomorrow, I'll go to the Riviera bid meeting at 9:30. And then I have 2 meetings in the afternoon and I got to do my agenda. And then I show up at City Hall around 4:15, 4:20. And for our start of our council meeting for closed session at 4:30. And then we go to 6 o'clock, and which point in time at 6 o'clock, we go to open session. And an open session that can last on average, usually around 10:30, 11 o'clock, around 11 o'clock, or usually on average, I would say. We've got down there as early as 8 o'clock and as late as 4:15 a.m. I said that correct, 4:15 a.m. This last February went until 4:15 in the morning the next day. It's not a joke. I think on average, like I said, 11 o'clock, 11:30 at night. That's not too late. Yeah, we'd all like to get out of there sooner. But I think if you look at the volume of items, like I said, we have 5 or 6 discussion items. We have 25 items on our consent calendar, and let's see here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items on our regular session item to get to tomorrow. And of course, we have the city manager items that we always spend a few minutes on as well. So on average, I'll spend, if I have community meetings, it's an extra 2-3 hours plus the prep time, which is another 2-3 hours on there. And then the Tuesdays, probably a good 10-hour days. And then throughout the week, I'm every day, probably a good 2 hours of just emails or phone calls or, whatever kind of communications dealing with staff or meetings, on average per day, per week. So 5 days a week. So that's my schedule. And I will be bringing it up again. I'd really love to have you guys comment to the city clerk tomorrow. I'll put the email into the chat, what your thoughts are. It's important that you cityclerk@redondo.org. It is item number, let's see, oops. Actually, I was looking at the wrong agenda. Sorry about that. September 1.3. Oh, I had the wrong agenda open. So we actually might have a different amount. Let me see here real quick. I actually meant to do this earlier. Apologize for that. City Council agenda. Here it is. So we have 25 items on the consent calendar and a public hearing on let's see here, alcohol. And then we have alcohol in food, gas stations, and then 3 discussion items. So we have 4 items. So the metro item is going to be a long item. And then the council hours, that's item M1. So be sure to send your email in regarding M1 if what you feel is the best time to start council meetings. So on tomorrow's agenda, item M1. On tomorrow's agenda, we have a couple of items, which leads me right into other part of my agenda here, which is tomorrow we have alcohol sales at gas stations. What does that mean? That means last November came to council direction to staff to possibly amend our current ordinance that allows the coastal zone and the non-coastal zone, so outside the coastal zone, to allow sales of alcohol at gas stations. And right now we have a ban on that. And there's kind of a weird state law that says you cannot ban alcohol at gas stations if they do sell certain types of food. So grab and go large food items. So a gallon of milk, for instance. Large food items like that, if they sell large food items, they can sell large alcohol. But if you're a city that bans alcohol, then you also ban those large food items. It gets really complicated really quick, but there's a nexus between the state, what the state has created. And we started that ban in 2016, November of 2016, and that includes the 7-Eleven. And the reason why the ban was started at the 7-Eleven, primarily because of 7-Eleven, is because of the homeless that live in that area. And they were simply just going into the gas station there, buying alcohol and going out and consuming it in the street. And a significant amount of problems was happening in and around that area, as well as other areas in the city. So this city staff put together a presentation at the direction of the council member Brand at the time, now mayor, and that's in his district, District 2. And they had a large presentation. In addition, a unanimous decision was to ban alcohol at gas stations in Redondo Beach. Well, Councilmember Obaji came back last November and wanted to allow alcohol sales with food sales, large food sales at a particular gas station, which means all of the ordinances in Redondo would be changed. We kicked it back to the Planning Commission, said the Planning Commission needs to look at this and give input. Planning Commission gave a unanimous vote of no, do not allow alcohol sales at gas stations. And the reason why is because we have a higher density of alcohol licenses than East LA. And if you want to buy alcohol in Redondo Beach, it's very easy for you to buy alcohol in Redondo Beach. You go to many different places. So there wasn't a need to open up gas stations in Redondo Beach to allow even more sales of alcohol. It would create more problems, they found. They had BCHD come down, and they had a lot of other comments and discussion items that we didn't even discuss at the council. So they had a unanimous vote no. So it's coming back tomorrow for outside the coastal zone. So let me know what you think. You've already been commenting here. Fantastic. Keep the ban. Open container violations, agree to keep the ban. Every CVS has alcohol. That is correct. There's 2 in District 1 alone, on Torrance Boulevard and in Prospect and PCH. Yeah, let me know what you think. We're voting on this tomorrow, and what areas are considered outside the coastal zone. So everything outside of anything west of PCH is the coastal zone. Anything east of PCH is outside the coastal zone. So all gas stations. So on Beryl and Prospect, the gas station that is currently open on Prospect and PCH. I'm not sure if they sell food. They might just do gas, but if they did do food, let's see here. Then Inglewood and 190th. Oh no, excuse me. Inglewood and Artesia Boulevard, Inglewood and Marine Avenue, Manhattan Beach Avenue, I should say, and then Inglewood and Aviation. All of those, there's a bunch of others I could name, but all of those will be allowed to sell alcohol in addition to food. I don't know which one you are. Torrance and PCH is not part of this amendment to allow, because within yes, the one with the oh, I get what you're saying here. Yes, the bus front in front of it, that will continue to be banned at that location on Torrance and PCH, the gas station. Then I believe it's a 76 station. I philosophically am not in agreement with this ban. I think, vendors should be allowed to sell whatever they can legally sell. We shouldn't be having this, philosophically speaking. And when this passed in 2016, I was completely against it. I said I wasn't a council member at the time, and I was completely against it. But since being in council, I've seen the issues we've had with homeless and the issues surrounding public intoxication. And we have a lot to go, very far to go in Redondo regarding homelessness. Homeless issue is not going away anytime soon. And when I say we have a lot of way to go, we've made great strides in the homeless issue in Redondo Beach. But the problem is it's a systemic problem regionally. So even though if we solve the homeless problem here at Redondo Beach, it's still a problem throughout the region. So whatever is working right now, we need to keep in place. That's kind of been my philosophy. We have the pallet shelters. We have multiple outreach coordinators in the field. We have, we're funding homeless court, well as other services in Redondo Beach. And all these things are working that we're having, all these programs, all the partnerships that we're working, all the things that we're doing are moving forward. So this is part of the solution that we have. I don't see it being beneficial to getting rid of the ban anywhere really right now, but particularly in the coastal zone. And this is one of the reasons why this was taken out. I have to still read this agenda item here to see what the Planning Commission had to say and the presentation they had. But that's going to be a really big issue to get over citywide here for us in Redondo. So which brings me, if there's no more other questions, I see everything here is keep the ban in place. Everyone has said 100%. Everyone said keep the ban in place. So yes, Rite Aid, Trader Joe's, everyone sells booze. Yes, TVS. There's plenty of places to get alcohol. There's plenty of just liquor stores here in Redondo. Like I said, we have a higher concentration of liquor sales than over in East LA. Think about that for a moment. That should say a lot. All right. So speaking of homeless, real quick, because this isn't on the agenda, but there was a question on this earlier. Let's see. Project Moonstone is moving forward. They got their permits. I am going to meet up with staff. Our housing community development director has moved on to another city. So I need to sit down with the interim community development director and see where their permits are, where they are in their construction phasing. We changed our housing voucher program to be a housing project program as well. What does that mean? That means we give out housing vouchers, Section 8 program here. It's a federal program here in Redondo Beach, and we give out housing vouchers. So Section 8 program to people, and they can take that voucher to go anywhere in the city. We've amended that program to allow project-based vouchers. So that means people who are living currently in the pallet shelters will be able to apply to move to Project Moonstone, and they will be allowed. The Project Moonstone is the motel that's being converted to essentially an apartment building. It's 20 units on PCH in Nob Hill. And the thought process here in Redondo give a quick context to this, because it's going to be a long discussion if I don't give a quick one. There's a company called Century Housing that bought the facility with state funds. They are a nonprofit, and the state gave them money to buy the facility. They partnered with their local partner was LA County, and LA County gave a couple $1 million to both buy the facility, upgrade the facility, and run the facility. And they only came to us in November of 2021 and said, hey, we're buying this. We're moving forward with this. We have our local partner is the county, and the state's going to give us money. And while the application has not been approved, we just want to know, are you into this? Is this okay with you? But regardless, whether you're okay or not, we're moving forward with this. So at that point in time, we kind of just says, yes, would you be amenable to allowing our pallet shelter residents, people who we have in pallet shelter and have been stabilized, to be able to use and have homeless, so people that are living in cars or couch surfing or been chronically homeless or veterans, to be allowed from Redondo have first priority in this particular location. They agreed to that. So while we didn't have a choice, no matter whether to buy it or to turn this into a project home key location, which is what the state program is called, they were willing to work with us to move forward as a partner to fill up the 20 units. That way, for them, it's good because they don't have to go out and find somebody. Now they can go out and find someone from Wilmington or Inglewood or anywhere in the region that serves us here. The location is on Nob Hill and PCH, David. And what's good about it as well is we can pre-screen all the applicants to make sure the applicants, we can say on there, do you smoke? Do you have you been incarcerated? Have you are you currently on parole? We can go through that list and have requirements for people that are living there to make sure they hit those categories or do not hit those categories that we want or do not want. So we have a bit of a filter process, make sure that they have income, that they're stable. And that's what this program is about, is to stabilize people that have been chronically homeless. It's not for people straight off the street. So when you see someone on the Esplanade, that's not where they're going to go. The goal eventually is if you see someone on the beach outside of City Hall or on the Esplanade, all of which have happened, we're able to move them to the pallet shelter, which has happened, stabilize them, and then get them to long-term supportive housing. Or get them back on their feet to wherever they need to go. So either out of state or to their families or friends or wherever city, wherever they came from. And there have been many success stories on that. That's why our beaches are clear. We don't have people sleeping on our beaches as opposed to Hermosa Beach, or you'll see up in Dockweiler, Venice, Santa Monica. They don't have the resources that we have. How long can they stay in Project Moonstone? Well, it's an apartment building. The goal is to get them there, to get them further integrated back into life with a real job. They can be self-sufficient. That could take anywhere from a few months to a few years, depending upon where they are. So that's kind of the life cycle of the situation. We have very little to no control, really. But we do have the ability, when we say we, the City of Redondo Beach, for this Project Moonstone or Home Key project, for the pallet shelter, we can bring in anyone off the street to that location. We have 20, I believe it's 20 pallet shelters, up from 15. We had the county buy 3 more, and we bought 2 more pallet shelters, so a total of 20. We've had so far well over 60 people that have gone through the pallet shelter program. That's 60 people that have been off the streets, so off the Esplanade and off of the beaches, away from City Hall. We had someone who was living at City Hall for a long period of time, and we were able to get them to the pallet shelter location. So we've been able to bring overall our homeless numbers down by 40%. From the high 100s to 90, which was the last count last year. This last year, the LA County released homeless numbers, the homeless count, and it has went up overall in the county and in our region, which is called SPA 8, Service Provider Agency Area 8, which includes Long Beach and the South Bay and all the way up to Inglewood, I believe. That whole area went up, but they did not release on purpose. They did not release per city data. So we do not know our own individual city, and they said they won't be releasing that, but they did say that, no cities in the South Bay or in the region went down, maybe stabilized, but everyone went at the very minimum a little bit up, but maybe not majorly up. Gil, your hand is up for a question. Feel free to ask away.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I understand that the issues concerning the homeless have improved somewhat, but I think it's a bit disingenuous when you use the term "we," as if the city is actively involved in this, because the program is run by another agency, just like the pallet issue is run by another agency. But neither agency is providing any type of written documentation about what occurs and what does not occur. And again, I think this is one of my pet peeves with goes on with the city, is that everything that is being told to us is an anecdote. because nobody is being held accountable for what these people are saying, whether the crime or the reported crime is up or down, the number of people, who those people are. Because again, you say, yeah, we can ask if the person smokes, if they don't smoke, or whatever else. There's a lot of things that we may generally say, but what's going to happen is that the organization that's running this program has already set the parameters of what how they're going to let them in. It's unfortunate that it happened, but it's going to happen. I get it. The other thing that we forgot to put in there was that this was negotiated by the city attorney, not by the city. Okay, there were negotiations that went on that nobody knew about until it was already put in process by the city attorney. Okay, and unfortunately, you guys don't have the authority to kind of control and manage that. I get it. Okay, but I think it's important that the people understand is that the city does not have as much control as they like to profess that they do, or be able to prove the success that they put out there. I think it's sometimes you put out there that success only because you don't want to be embarrassed that you don't have as much control as we like to believe. Thank you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, I shouldn't be using the word we so easily all the way throughout. It is a program we have no control over. That is 100% true. Century Housing could literally say, we don't like you. We don't want to deal with you. We're going to put in anyone that that we want. And they could literally put anyone that they want. Since their quote local partner is the county, they can bring in anyone they want. It is true, the city attorney, someone did a public records request through the South Bay COG, and the city attorney, Mike Webb, as well as the city council member in District 3, Christian Horvath, who is our South Bay COG representative. South Bay COG is South Bay Council of Governments, and they spoke directly to Century Housing and invited them in and said, yes, we believe that this community is going to be inviting and we can get you the resources that you need. And we're looking to do this long-term supportive housing thing. There was a public records request. The emails are there. And that was all done in September and October. When the council item came to us in November, that item, it was displayed to us as not enough time as to having a council report. But if you go back to the emails that were presented for the public records request to the COG, which Councilmember Horvath did not reply to, that was sent in forwarded along. It shows that Councilmember Horvath and our city attorney Mike Webb knew that this program was coming and could have had a better staff report. So it was blindsided to the city council. But at the end of the day, I think if they were going to go through with this program, the Century Housing, they were going to go through it regardless of what we said here on the council. So we here on this is trying to keep them on the good side and move forward with it. So removal process for someone that breaks the rental agreements for this location. Well, it's essentially an apartment house. So this is essentially an eviction process that someone would have to get, Century Housing would have to go through on this particular location. And this is long-term supportive housing. They have to pay 1/3 of their income. So whatever that income may be, whether it's a job, whether it's SDI, Social Security, whatever it may be as income, 1/3 of that is going to go to the Century Housing, and then they will backfill the other 2/3 through many various funding sources that they get from the state and the county and other programs that they have. So it is an apartment house. They are converting it to an apartment house, and it's a state end around our local zoning. So one more thing to have our neighborhood voices, which is a statewide initiative that would get rid of a lot of these issues that the state is overtaking our local zoning with. Let's see here. I will go to our neighborhood voices here real quick. Our Neighborhood Voices, there was a great meeting last week, Wednesday. Our Neighborhood Voices is a statewide initiative to get back our local zoning. If anyone here lives in R1, R2, R3, which is single family, multifamily housing, the state is overtaking our zoning, and next door to you could be 4 units. If you're in a single family home, your new neighbor could be 4 units. They're splitting. The state has forced us to upzone by 2,400 units at minimum. In order to get those 2,400 units, the little variables that they have in there, the requirements of affordable housing and highly affordable housing, we had to upzone to 3,200 units in Redondo Beach, net new units. It's absolutely ridiculous. The only way we can get around all of these items or all these new state laws is to pass a statewide initiative called Our Neighborhood Voices. I will throw the link into the chat right now. You need to go there and you need to sign up with them. And I can't be more emphatic for everyone to jump in on that website, put your name on their mailing list, donate $50, $100, $25, whatever it may be, to Grassroots Initiative. They're going to start getting signatures when they get enough money. They're looking to get signatures this fall, start to get signatures this fall. It is the answer to all of these issues. So Project Homekey, SB 9, which splits up a single family neighborhood to multifamily. So a single family house can be converted to 4 units. The RENA updates, which means we had a zone for 3,000 plus net new units in Redondo, get rid of all of that. And it's really important, including a residential housing design guidelines. You know, that's on the agenda tomorrow night as well, a consent calendar. I'll be pulling that. All these state laws have taken away our right to zone, our ability to create our own community the way we want to have our community. And I can just say that the only answer other than filing lawsuits and playing whack-a-mole for all of this is to have the statewide initiative move forward with the statewide initiative. So I'm going to go over here real quick, a couple other agenda items. We do have council items. Let's see, Metro Green Line tomorrow night on the agenda. Whether or not what we're going to support, we've already voted once to support the Hawthorne Boulevard option. The Metro Green Line is the C line or the formerly known as Green Line. And they are thinking about moving that Green Line to Hawthorne Boulevard or the right of way up in North Redondo. Why does it affect you here, Redondo? Was because it's your tax dollars, and your tax dollars need to be spent correctly. And putting the right now, in short, what Metro is having is a massive fall off in ridership, and the way they get their ridership to grow is to putting their the Green Line or Metro, these extensions down places where it increases ridership. And they want to go down in the South Bay to link up with the Torrance bus transit center. And to that point, one of the 2 ways is to go down the right of way or Hawthorne Boulevard, and Hawthorne Boulevard would increase their ridership dramatically. We also have the South Bay Social District that's being built, and that would create a perfect environment for people to be able to live, create a live-work environment so that they wouldn't need to have cars. I'm saying this because that is what Metro is pushing. And a lot of development is going to be happening over the course of the next 100 years along Hawthorne Boulevard. New housing, new jobs. And that's the place to put the Green Line to come down, not in people's backyards. Very few people will be taking the Green Line, getting off on any stops along that way as compared to Hawthorne Boulevard. So it is really important that you comment tomorrow. And moving forward, September 28th, there's going to be a meeting at Metro, October 29th, 8th, 6th, October 26th, I believe it is, October 26th. At Metro in downtown LA, the city's going to be renting some buses for people to get onto, along with the city of Lawndale. We are splitting the cost on that to get people to go downtown to speak on behalf of getting the project going down Hawthorne Boulevard. So that's going to be a big agenda item tomorrow night. A lot of community input on that. All right. Let me see here if I missed anything. I know Oh, real quick today. We had the Edo. Let me see if I have time real quick to show this. The Edo family dedication. I'm going to show these pictures here real quick. We still got some time. That was today at 3 o'clock. I'm going to share this photos here. This is daughters of the Ito family. They were living here since 1920s, I believe, 1910, 1920. They had a park dedicated to them. That's the son, I believe, son-in-law, grandson, and daughter. And this park, this is Ron Morocco, who is a commissioner, was there giving a speech, as well as the city council member, Kalajetovich. We had a good turnout there. This is not, it's only half the crowd right there, taking a few minutes before the speeches were taken, and we had a cool little dedication ceremony there. This is on the corner of Flagler and let's see, Ripley, I believe. And it's a little open space, not really a park, it's more like a parklet. And really, really kind of cool park dedication and named in the history of the Ito family. Ito family was a Japanese family, and they had a farm here in Redondo Beach. And during World War II, during the internment, they were sent off to the internment camps. And so they lost the farm here. So this is a great little plaque memorial for them. So other than that, some of the avenues was a great event down in the avenues. I'll show a quick picture of that here. There was about 400 plus people that showed up to the event. It was a half-mile swim and a 1 mile swim. And they gave out awards to the top 3 finishers in every category, age groups, male, female. They had 3 categories. Basically, they had open division, then they had the women's division, and then they had the wetsuit division, and they had a half-mile swim as well as a 1 mile swim. So really cool event. Over 400 people participated. Really great job by Mike Ward, Village Runner, and Rick Crump, who does the Redondo Beach triathlons for many, many years. He's been doing that, as well as Brian Manejo, who runs the open water swimming training event at Avenue A or Nob Hill area on the beach there. So that was really cool. Other than that, if anyone had any questions, let me scroll here through the chat. If we had any more questions, I think I addressed them all. Let's see here. I think that sums up pretty much all the questions, unless somebody has any other questions to throw in chat or raise their hand for events. Thank you, Andy, for the kudos. I appreciate that. And let me check the Facebook page here real quick. I don't see anything on the Facebook page. I'll go over the events here real quick. We got nothing coming up in September. We have a compost on October 7th, and we have the Halloween stuff, Spectacular, as well as Oingo Boingo, Seaside Lagoon in end of October. And other than that, that's it. So thank you guys for your time. I really appreciate it. Moonstone, yes, Mark, will be no smoking. That's what their tenants, but we're working into the program, and as well as the other things that you asked for, as per Mike Webb. Oh, Gil, your hand is up.
Yeah, you asked about events. I run a nonprofit that provides therapy dogs for first responders. We had a meeting, an orientation meeting about a week and a half ago, and we were able to recruit 3 new dog teams that we were starting training with. We are now looking to put dogs into El Segundo Unified, Hermosa Beach Unified, and possibly Redondo Unified as therapy dogs as part of the wellness program. So if anybody has or knows anybody who has a team that would like to possibly try to join us, we are open. We are recruiting hopefully now local people now to handle our local issues as part of that as well. They can go to bluelinedogsla.com. That's bluelinedogsla.com. And we're looking for more teams to put into the schools.
BlueLineDogs.com.
Bluelinedogsla.com.
Oh, okay. That is wrong. Blue Line. Oh, let me get this into my thing here. Blue Line LA.
Dogs. Bluelinedogsla.com.
LA.com. Okay, cool. Let me make sure. Yep, perfect. There it is. All right. So go
Yeah,
ahead and visit that.
we currently have 15 dogs at LAPD, 3 dogs at LA County Sheriff. We have been out to to some of the different stations in the Sheriff's Department based on the murder of the deputy yesterday. So we've been out with that with our dogs, and I'll tell you, it does make a difference to these deputies and these officers when we can be part of a wellness program.
That's awesome. Good work. Thank you for that.
All right. Thank
And
you.
Gil also,
Sure.
as everyone knows, Gil runs the dog park, Friends of the Dog Park, 501c3 out there, keeping our
Right.
dog park up to date and
And we currently
building.
have volunteers at the dog park now 5 days a week that does basic maintenance. Yeah, 5 days a week now. We have 4 people who actually are sweeping, cleaning, and doing a lot more maintenance work than we've ever done before. So that's working out really well for us.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, thank you. If anyone else has any other events they want to announce, go ahead and raise your hand.
I don't have an event, but I do have a comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I may have missed it. I joined maybe 10 minutes late on in the Riviera Village along Catalina. Those outdoor dining that they took over the parking spots.
Yep.
Is that there to stay?
Yeah, they are there to stay. You did miss it. Started off in the beginning. That program we permanentized. Go ahead and rewatch the beginning of the program. We're getting $4 million, hopefully, from Metro this month to design a program, structures around it, and then also getting approval from the Coastal Commission and working with the Riviera bid with the improvement district to permitize that. And we will be replacing the parking, not all of it, but 95% of that parking, but adding a lot of bike parking. So go ahead and watch that in the beginning of this meeting. It will be on Facebook, just so everyone knows. I did record this. I'm about to stop recording right now, and then I will be putting on YouTube as well. So it's on Facebook and on YouTube for everyone to go ahead and rewatch and go from there. So
Will
thank
do.
you guys.
Thanks for the recap.
You're welcome. And if anyone has any questions or comments. All right, seeing none. And nothing online. Thank you, everyone. And I will see you next month. Enjoy, or tomorrow night for tomorrow's council meeting. See you then. All right, bye.